지나 로마 서우동대 글로가
서울도 예. It's 10 o'clock.
Okay, morning. Say prayer on page number 10. If you open the recitation book, we'll say in Tibetan 2 times. We'll say in English with it in the number. in English on page number 11. I take refuge in the Guru. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. From now until my enlightenment, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit created in this practice, may I attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and causes. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and causes. May all sentient beings never be separated from joyful bliss. May all sentient beings embody equanimity, feel bias, attachment, and anger. Ground, mountain with perfume, strewn with flowers, Mount Miracle, encircled by the four continents, surmounted by the sun and the moon. I visualize this Buddha field offering. May all living beings enjoy the pure land.
안에 참말로 참트라시되시고 안에 차와 농라 만들어지는데 용어에 나타나게 해주시겠어요.
Good morning to you all, and thank you for joining me in today's Dharma discussion. I particularly appreciate it and would say thank you so much for coming today, because despite the fact of a rainy day, you guys still made an effort and then to be here with me, and so I'm very glad and thank you.
냐 차와당네 나콩초에 더서 냐야든 백주로 스팟 발레 당전에 네 페아테 총돈이를 딱 랑엔지식이고 제세랑식이요.
In fact, this is in the rainy day, and everything kind of slows down and give you the sense of relaxation. It is probably the best time to sleep. Continue stay in the warm bed. However, and so you sacrifice that part of the physical pleasure and made a sacrifice and come here clearly indicates you are seeking for something greater and than that temporary physical pleasure. So I congratulate you, and again, thank you for coming and be with me here this morning.
당아도 로마도 누구잖아요. 당보네 로마가 때 끝이 나와 샤레 두아 네 당아도 당보 공가를 간잖아. 당보 티스무 공스무 티즈도 암쪽도 티가다 뭔가 통화때 파 샤르지 샘 샤르교도 다가랑 니와들 삼지네 삼즈네 몸동 삼이가 잡았어요. 삼세데 티돈도도 던데즈 샤르교도 다가랑 샤르지 몸세데 티 삼노 동주고 티 샤르교도 다 샘능아 티 모도 다 샤르교 말다 샘능네 마질와 지니 돈지 남르티 스긴로 탈레메 샤르제니 도와들로 검스보라 당아도 로마 지즈 로마 안에 때 곰지네 티슴 곰스무지네 당고 지 호직 톤 스타티나 샤르도 텔라스 아니 텔라 삼노당 샘능이고 또 지즈 로마 데즈레 사즈긴 샤라지 샤르주도 다 샘네 마질라 지 곰지.
So now, next, we're going to practice Aryantara recitation mantra, or actually it's meditation of Aryantara herself. As you can see in front of me, there is a picture of Aryantara, and that's her body and her appearance, and that's how she kind of appearance, how she appears. So now when we say that we're going to meditate practice Aryantara mantra, what we are saying that we are going to go through three processes or three phases of the practice. The first phase of the practice is the hearing, meaning the collecting or searching for the right knowledge or develop a clear understanding, and then move on to the second step, that is to contemplating. And then lastly, the meditation. So when we might just say that what is the process of the first phases or the process of the practice involved in the while you're on the course of the hearing. That's meaning you attentively pay close attention to what you have heard, right? And mainly you rely on the ear organ or the faculty and to pick up the concepts, the ideas. And then of course you also use your eye senses a sense to and pick up the sign or the whatever the reflections of the knowledge itself. And then we so once you get a clear sense of it, then through the ear faculty and eye faculty, and then we need to move to the contemplation, the second phase. So contemplation here meaning you need to reflect and the meaning, the symbol, or anything, the knowledge which you picked up and during the hearing process, the time of the hearing, and such like observation, right, and or listen to. And so in the contemplation stages of contemplation, you need like those informations or the ideas, concepts, and appearance is vividly appear onto your mind. And so you got to sort of accomplish that inwardly appearance, a reflection in other words. So you reflect upon what you have heard. So reflection and will make that reflection is a kind of a generate or arise by self and very vividly, clearly. And then you move to the last phase, and that is meditation. Then while you are in the stage of meditation, and you're basically not doing anything that which you did during the hearing process or during the time of the contemplating, but rather the image or the appearance or the concepts and the understandings and make it stable, make it strong and deep. So that's the difference between the contemplation and the meditation itself.
但是他呢，他的日音下头的记录面更多的呢，他当然是能下来去，对他日音怎么办？但等啊，录音能下来能，但是日音的，前几年是没得人吧，前把当这话当你为当你这吧，我都是什么当的呢？打人多些。
So yes, look at the images on the screen here in front of me, and then so that's how you pick it up, right? And pick up by your observation, and then based on the instructions and then which are given about the Aryantara, right? And then take a very close looking and get the clear sense of glorious appearance, and then you take that to very sort of a knowledge or the understanding of that very appearance, and then uploaded it or make it be reflected upon in your mind inwardly, internally, and mentally. That should have a vividly appear into your mind. That's so in a way it's like you watch a movie. So, but if they watch a movie and the appearance of something and appear on the screen, and here you let the Aryantara's sacred embodiments or appearance appear in your upon your mind. And the key difference is so in the general the scene of the movie, what you see, what's going on, that's it. But here, when you are able to have the clear reflection of you see of the Aryantara's sacred body, and vividly in your mind, have to remember this embodiment is the appearance actually is the embodiment of the omniscience, and it is the embodiment of the great compassion, and it is the great power.
어디서다 다리 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 소화지네 다리 당부티 아니 롤마세 셰르비키도 나고는 거 셰르비 당다바이나 마시움 바용스 두고 다리 다리 소화서 냥지라고 그래 냥지 전부여서 아니 샤워간다 것이나 텔라 돈 좋아요 일마요 근데 아니 타마티 다리 소화 타마티 홀모서데 니와라고 그러 켄치 니슴 담바티 아니 지존도미 옴세데 지존도미 그송트겠다 아니 켄스님이 당니 전대인 바 홈세와데 때닌 중화인사 때들이 때는 켄스님이 당니 전라 신기람니 니와 돈탑이 베가 동거스 남적도 동거스 된종고도
Okay. So we have talked this several occasions, but let me again just have a quick reminder. So when you reciting Om Dari Do Soha, remember the Om is a representation or of you as ultimate sentient being, and the Om is the and that at the Aryantara's side is the manifestation, or it's represented the body, speech, mind of the Aryantara. And then you say Om Antari, that means the mother of the liberation, or the goddess of the liberation, which here the liberation, the goddess or Tari, and the mother of liberation is it is in reality is represented the prajna, or the wisdom, realization of the actuality or the reality of all phenomena. And then Om Dari and Dut Dari means swiftly who responded, reacting or acting swiftly, which represents this sweetness, swiftness, or this is represented the great Aryantara's another quality, and the compassion. And then the Ondari Duri, Duri here is for the mother of the or the power, and or the fearlessness. So the fearlessness of the the power itself. Overall, you can tell that when you step on Dari Soha and the Duri until the Soha, it's basically you are reflecting what is the appearance you see. So you, while you are reflecting and seeing the vivid picture of Aryantara, reflecting upon the great qualities of the three great qualities of the Aryantara, that is the qualities of omniscience, the qualities of Mahakaruta, and the great qualities of the power. And so then finally the Soha, on that represented the dependent origination, arising or interconnectedness, and meaning that when you say Soha, and the ultimate understanding or the actuality, the reality of the all phenomena. So that is dependent events are dependently originated.
또 전에 진짜로 미끄 송득이 신럽 때라 때니 아니 지금 이미 기고 쇼지 면배네지만 뭐 니마 쇼도 삼체 오지 잡아 일라 샴동 향지 성스 세면도 니와 3년 요로 근데 이게는 통화네 괜찮은 생각 너무 진짜 송 섬네 아니 단단 아주 못한데 단단 나야도 너 등을 기르다 자망되고 랑니 소주는 자망 근데 송 등을 리트는 니와 동 탔던 봐 섬네 등을 다른 거이지 꿈죠
Yeah. So yes, here we are doing something purely spiritual. So therefore, and your recitations, your meditations are aimed to and bring you to the point where you can directly experiencing something we call the blessing or spiritual transformation, and something profound, and something is is a supernatural of the enlightened being, and so we basically or generally translate it as blessings. So when you think about a blessing, that's which is a form of a transformation, and you've been transformed by this process of the recitation of Aryantara, helps then in the and the best example or thing you can think of is that when the sun arises, you know the world will be illuminated, right? All the darkness. So in the same fashion, and as the result of your Aryantara, you receive the blessings of Aryantara from mind, and that very power of body, spiritual mind is transformed you. The reason and maybe you you've been transformed, so you've been transcended and to the super sort of natural. And the reason you can't do that, it is because we all are endured or embedded, and they're endured with what we call the Gaba or Buddha nature. So seeds like the essential. So our practice is like the way you nourish and so you kind of developing. And it is absolutely possible through this. You can transform. You can be transformed, and you can experience this supernatural blessings directly yourself. And so this practice is not just benefits yourself, but at the same time, the all sentient beings are also simultaneously being transformed, being your own practice. So that's because the power is available, and then your practice is be able to kind of invoke this power, and it made it possible not only free yourself but free all sentient beings who are experiencing miseries.
That
page number 74.
So ye ki jun la rand Dari Dari So 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 Dari Dari Susan Roman the journey and was a young Matilda, Sana Poker Show, Susan Apajan, Panjatan, later. Ruin and Maliwa, Totashua, Mebel Show, Manum Tatang, Damba, San, the John Roberto, Kandu Servola, so Panyanji, and Tong, and Chichu. That's it. 다 같은 것들네. 고롱 뭐좀 시원네. 냥kur so thomen jongsil shigla. 고롱 좀 burmashate. Terter mena. Shangan gopur marong waso. Kitamsk namtang gavi shiro. Ane ti otela yitzum masha. Shiwan gombe kapki zombi tsil tante. Tangbo sarngi jongsil shini oranjopa maunte te kant chu chimbu ginter war machi jang shimurtar khantagrangwi guni zomgi so ngol ngtoli khapar phapar kirwala chola thanglul ngalma shung tisir choki khapar nam thotang ramba in machi shisongwa taro otwar chorjoma.
Okay, please go to your copy translation on page 105. We're going to read it. The subtitle says, "Don't be short-tempered. You should not express dissatisfaction with the size of offerings and rewards, or you will breach the commitment not to grumble. Don't make a short-lived attempt. It serves no purpose if you affect some effort in meditation at the beginning and then leave it altogether. Effort needs to be like a great river or a strong bow stream. The press of the pressworthy says, for you to prove your superiority, show neither flexibility nor rigidity. Therefore, your supreme quality is to show no distinction of rank or partiality."
That's more. 어들 진짜단디 치 당보드게 내가 아주 조안로 가르치나 아니 수도 닝크르당 아니 지 왕차라 소파 된리게 쳇드제나 나 용고 말했을 때 지나네 단직도 지기가 원도 송아자 아니 아주 담스게 당도 뭐 아주 시속 등갈 때등갈로 그래 다 당부터 동거라 이니와테네 곰비급 다 조리 좀 당시고 아주 이점 지금 지금 남성직 시송나 양 남성직 된 톱송 근데 삼로동나 그런 돈도 됐잖아 그렇게 말이 샤워 간다 간지나 좀 빠지고 좀 빠지는 정보 된지네 좀 봐서 치우긴진들네 치우긴낭진 페파랑보 템바이나 탈득 소순 레오직 톱기 오래지 어때 샤워 간다 간지나 때낭진 단단 가도 시장들은 당보 티와지 TV돈데 삼바지 삼비돈데 양양서 곰진 곰비지나 때네 럼비 섬고던 거 맞다 받다 따가네 아니 지금 서비 차다 아주 양탁비 차다 삼원도 끼려오네 좋아지 요래 스타트 때 합동 거위세트 성질라 또 봐네 저 디낭나 차프로 선지 좀 던데 그런 거 안에 배 당보년에 배 삼비 지 돈데 녀라 당보매 봐지네 디 탐지 봐 장아인자 this number 디 진짜 아니 그런 거디 토장네 kalli gyamnin develop teni ani ta chorang tanda sangji ji kompong thabare utan dordo china teni sheko.
So In the verses on the few lines we just read, basically points made the two important points. The point number one is that so your Dharma practice must be always aimed to achieve to bring about something that is spiritually meaningful and which is purely spiritual. So the effort you make must be always remembered that it is not for the sake of seeking for the power, seeking for some kind of socially the recognized superiority and or rankings or something that materialistically recognized or appreciated. It shouldn't be like that. In fact, it should be always aimed to whatever you do at the beginning, in the middle, and the end. Always remember that your practice is guided by the samaya or the precepts, right? Or must be carried out. Your practices must be carried out within the framework of the precepts or the spiritual guidance, the rules, and the pedometer. Because if you forgot those basic rules or the framework of the practice, and along with the motivation, the mindset, the basic intention, and then you could whatever you do, and the put it result of something is not spiritual, but it can become something that's profane or materialistically worldly. So if you do the things and then take a Dharma practice and you make effort in the Dharma practice, but at the end, if you find yourself actually turned into very successful in the material world, and that is basically is opposite or against the very principle of the guidance or the precepts of the Dharma practice itself. So this is point one. And point two is about the joyful perseverance. Right? We do need to practice and the Dharma seriously and need to make effort. But the effort and the way we make it has to be something and like the way the greater river, how the river is floating, and I'll keep it sort of moving forward. So our effort, the joyful perseverance cannot be, it should not be, short lived. That's like say, oh, I want to practice Dharma. You got so excited, and then you get jumping into like the practice such as like hearing and or the contemplation and the meditation. But then soon after that, and you give up, or you stop doing the same thing, and that will not take you anywhere. But rather, you should know that this Dharma practice of a great transformation of spiritual enlightenment, and it do require the great consistency, and they have to do that on a regular basis, and with a great joyful perseverance. So, and then start your practice of hearing with this joyful perseverance, and then keep moving on, moving and forward. Yes, advance yourself in the process of the contemplation, and then keep yourself up in the great spiritual practice in the meditation itself. So if you keep doing that without interrupting, without stop here and start there, and So then you would see your consistent and your perpetuation and your continued joyful perseverance of practice self eventually will help you to purify the negative qualities of your mind, and would make it is possible to transform your mind from the contaminated or impure delusional state of life experience into the pure or purified, enlightened reality. So, and then your practice would actually, the joyful perseverance and with a great consistency would prove that, or will experientially prove that the effort you make on the with the great consistency would make you began to realize that your mind stream of continuity of your mind now has become a much more pure and much more illuminating, and so that's is absolutely important and important. It's absolutely important for you to keep doing the same old thing consistently, and to make this point very clear and or highlight the importance of this consistency, the joyful perseverance. And the author quotes from the press of the Pressworthy, and which is the one of the great eminent master of India called Tali Pushon. Tozen Drupje, actually, the author is Tozen Drupje, and the Tibetan translation of Tali Pushon is called the Press of the Pressworthy. Like the way he pressed Buddha, the Shakyamuni, the historical figure Shakyamuni, and by saying that, and for you to prove your superiority and so show neither flexibility nor rigidity, meaning that's very balanced. So it's not a kind of jumping in right away and then get a cold and cool down and then give it away, or then jumping in again and then stop again. So it's not like that. The press and the author Tozen Drupje, the way he recognized Buddha, expressed his great appreciation. Buddha is Buddha, you attain the enlightenment, this Siddhartha Gautama. So you become Shakyamuni Buddha and attain the enlightenment because of the greater consistency, driven by the joyful perseverance. So it shows that this is the model and this is the way, and we should do, because either in the religion or spiritual practice or the worldly activity, and in any case, so the consistency is the key for the great success.
오더라. 다 준주 치모나 가르송르네. 소소랑니 로테랑니라 고토 마키렌자 당보 샤와칸 당치 제당 마치세데 소소랑 거 삼로등은 좀 사른 좀 사말 타수지 거래. 이니와들 탁주지는 샤와데 뭐 좀비지 동 좀버 담자당나 되니 디나만 도마 도기오 말을 듣지나네. 장라쇼는 그래서 당아 디인도가 진요래.
Yes, so to make the point a bit more clear, and let me comment slightly from a different perspective. So we know that our mind is not something hidden from us, right? Our mind, our mental attitude, the state of our mind is apparent, something that's apparent to ourselves, always can reveal to ourselves. For this reason, right? And when you begin to take any project or begin to do something that you want to make commitments, and you must examine your mental attitude, your own mind, the state of mind, see whether that is something you really wanted and is there supportive conditions? You have a mature or the conditions and all the conditions is in favorable, is do your favor, in your favor, and or as you want it, you need it, and then think about your own measure, assess all this from all the perspective, and then you make take a decision. So the way you take a decision is meaning that you make a commitment. So this commitment is a serious matter. So once you made a commitment, you must stick on to that very commitment. You must respect, honor what you have committed you wanted to do. Then you need to make all the effort and try to achieve it. So you must do that, and you keep doing and pushing and until you reach the goal. Otherwise, there are often we know that people who easily and they don't examine their mind carefully. They don't assess their ability, their capacity, or the resources, the conditions, and they need it, and you want to achieve that goal. They don't do that homework carefully before they jump in, but they jump in and then they give up, and then they do the same thing again, and eventually they develop the very bad habits, and they get used to this kind of make commitment fast and easily, and they give up and broken. Dishonor what they have committed or made an oath. So I personally find myself often in this kind of situation, which is quite regrettable.
내가 오치 문도 시원 판 종스 시위 런데 마탕 레와타오 덴레베르 얼글라 정시 마시 문득 오스칠 서와잠 영카니 몽와 득시 다우 뽕샤오 상츠 선바 첨부 차가위 데트 특냠지 라버 총대 셔니特위 송쇼바는 렁기 미와 몽보게 등을 담은 체섭니 당전 너위 당시 되는 문교도 시송소 대단한 근조 상시지 셈 정화라 실 정화 실선도 따뜻 part 조선라.
Now let's continue the reading. Don't expect gratitude. This refers to not expecting an immediate reward for whatever little good you do. You should give up saying that there is no use being good or otherwise to such a person, because he can't even say thank you. The great Bodhisattva Chagawa put this into practice to good effect. With a sense of satisfaction, he said, My manifold aspirations have given rise to humiliating criticism and suffering. Having received instructions for damning the misperception of self, even if I die, I have no regret. This concludes the explanation of the training in the conventional awakening mind.
어떤데 네 가로 송고즈나 소니 상처 선바 영지지 장도 기르 강서이나 같이나 파 판탁당나 때 서라쿠리 렌레와 약이오 말스. 당가랑도 파지 판탁나 서라 렌즈레와 약이야텔라 영지 양다 찾고 말다 노쳐쳐더라. 노쳐서 때 가르나 파지 판타가 때 존질 될 때는 알람선 람지랑나 삼아가 때 도저 나세 설때나 nga yodo sonzi semba sede nga sede sarna yomar paso de la penda jendung khona chete cha ane len la re yomar odin sa ta ane this is semba chakawa karo song duzna ane rangi miwa mangwi gyezne ta korang samlo dong sa so mugpa no simji jengi ton kali gyawa do jengi ton chion jengi ton la ding do so so dingel mangbo nyong yores tamngam ba mangbo ne 미주 카당에 된데 몽고 종요르스 이나 또 참망이 쳇삼데 베디데 야메 조진에 등글ኝ 나랑 등글 용조다 미 카당조 야메치네 아니 당진 나 갑자기 자야지 당진 메와조 갑자기 전에 띠 담바치네 아니 단다 그런 거 당진 배 당진 때 용소 뻥차네 아니 저 잼핀 향지 전부 통사이자 다니 현능 시송난 거 봐면 되거든요 그것도 다 너무 좋게 진짜 띵 돌디니더니 권돈의 상지 권도 상지 샘 레오데 다 조사서 되라네.
Okay. So the great lesson or teachings that we can draw from this short paragraph is that it kind of again is a close reflection upon the what are the Bodhisattvas doing and how they're doing and so why they're doing so. As we know that anyone who is a Bodhisattva and his or her action is always driven by the Mahakaruta, the great compassion, right? Meaning that he or she is always acting or reacting, taking up on or engaging anything that is driven by the force of great compassion. So in the sense that he or she, her action, her entire state of being or the life itself, and is being sort of other powered. Okay, that is other powered or be transformed by the power of other. That other is the great compassion. Okay? So we ordinary beings, and we've been sort of we've been empowered and easily all the time been swinged or driven and taken and to all the directions by self sort of power. That self is the self-cherishment, self-centeredness. But Bodhisattva is completely a being, great Mahasattva, great being, who is an opposite, right? And then they always respond to the things merely and purely aimed for the benefits of others. They have no hope, no expectations from others, and whatever they do in something for others, right? And there's no slice of hope and expectation, and the others will treat them well, show the respect, or acknowledge them, or approval. They have no such expectation at all. And in fact, we know that we are very we have this expectation of we do good things. We engage in all kinds of good actions by doing some good work for others. But the difference between the Bodhisattvas and the action of the Bodhisattvas, good deeds and virtuous action, and ordinary beings engagement of in the good actions, good activities, virtuous activity, is that we often have this hope, have this expectation of being recognized or rewarded and or be honored and by whoever received the assistance from us or helps from us. So this clearly shows that our action is not driven by the great compassion. And in fact, it's driven by the attachment or the desire. Why? Because we desire for something worldly in return, right? But Bodhisattvas, on the other hand, has no attachment desire whatsoever for the outcome and for themselves. So therefore, their actions is purely driven by the Mahakaruda, the great compassion, and all the altruism. And so yes, so you can clearly tell that ordinary beings are doing everything all the time for themselves, right? There is always I and me, and, or for me, or and I. And but the Bodhisattvas has no such a misperception of self, and so therefore no attachment to the outcome. And whatever they do definitely is for the benefits of others. So Chagawa, the great Bodhisattva, Chagawa here, he is our mentor, and he set up a great example for us. Here he says that I dedicated myself engaging into the Bodhisattva's deeds, and where in order to accomplish and something which has great merits of altruism and for the sake of others and benefits for others. I experienced a great deal of suffering, and also the people who have been sort of criticized this and received this some kind of slanders, right? And all challenges from all directions and all the time. However, so I did not respond to those negative behaviors negatively, but rather and as with a great appreciation and take it as a great sort of reward. And as a result, because I did not take it as personally and to feed this the hunger of the ego or the self-centeredness, so therefore all my practice eventually helped me to be able to get rid of the attachment to the self and the self, the grasping at self person. So now, as a result, I'm accomplished or I successfully developed the bodhicitta, and now I can die without any regrets. And this is the completion of this completes our discussions of the conventional the subject matter, the practice of the conventional bodhicitta.
오늘 저한테는 전도면은 게 zakshik.
So now I would like to see both online or here in the temple. Do you have any questions or would like to make any comments from me? If you don't, then probably continue to say something.
Yeah. Okay.
I do have a question on something I've been curious about. It doesn't quite pertain to today's lesson, but I was wondering, what is your take on sexual activity and lust with someone who's trying to achieve purity?
I beg pardon, would you repeat the last couple of words?
What is your take on sexual activity and lust with someone who's trying to achieve a level of purity?
Oh, level of purity, right?
Yes.
Purity. All right. On this, next condition, the nangi cheki ani karisong ngalen dewa chi chue dengan chi karisong du ngalen hero jelas ni dewa den dizin 저다음에 맞다 지 포모가 빠른 도처선 도와 근데 투비 대화 안데 대화 여기 그 도처대 다 포모 린디기 대화대 안데 포모 린디기 나 텐데기 니 투바스난다 도버조가 원 도버조가 때네 나 산수가리오스 딘네 사포데니 지 미치케니다 투주기 Jordan de la Tene, that purity is the Zambatanga, so in a tree for that the that I go check the Tapata Mata Pascono with the Tapa and the Matapa the Sama Seni, in Tapa Jersons, but the young Tapa Jersons go that she just don't that remove us of Jiret and the Dochel and Chilla, but you go medal and you to be Pomo to be the what the danger.
저한테 직당 지나 다 말라 됐어. 렌장 카운터즈라. 이나 직당 지나 가랑도 보목은 저와 세와때 랑징근 가랑도 직든 디강라 네요자. 등가랑도 친이까지 가랑도 직당 랑징 친이 근데 지실라들이 땐 종아지 때진이 때라 때는 가랑도 미 좋아던 좋아니 냠데 네와던 네와 때라 때니 아니 미 공패당을 소바도 차정 때라 때니 그비 도착라더니 연구요. 또 매난 아주 정말 다 직든 디강라 네와 때고 그것도 코로 지친로 샤고요 말어. 대상으로 소바도 고요. 이낭 때라 때니 다 도착 또 배주 땅니 소소고 지 냠스 용화라 때니 찍찍라 제와 뭐마 짓와이나 제동 지금 아동 부모님한테 내 임친등 알아서 내긴 멋지기는 거 내킬 쇼츠가 내급을 잡히도 좀 다득 멋지게 내킬 냠대 용구요자 냠대 대가 찍찍라 세와지네 삼등 그 세와지나 아니 랑당 제니가 캬버며 와지네 어이 등을만도 받고 코딩은 놓고 말해 아니 코카티는 소소랑 일라 같이 셈나가 내키잖나 삼바나지 파쇼텔라 당 때는 세와 뭐만 들으시 디토도 강로 가르쳐나라 남은 결함에 빠지 냠때 니트 그래서 뜸에봐 뜸 많이 빠지네 그 내급이란 거 파쇼티게 개편때 소소 초라 되었던 냠스용아 찍고 삼노던 거이나 파쇼텔라다 강은 집한데 배는 노결완도 강은 내종아로 때리 종나 람서 주 셈능네 근데 답한 돈으로 어떤 노착래지 때 노착 그 세와때 결와요 소소소 뭐 바랑 남고 자 아니 파쇼텔라 가지고 어떤 세와 뭐마 때 터이나 직전 제동 되어 뭐마도 차트와나 아니 내치당 담비고는 뭐 시작하고를 정말 아주 속아 용 거지 아니 노적 코니 송화나 다들 뭐 시작하고 말할 때 능력게 그러지 파쇼텔라 아니 그런 차슴 저쯤 지나 대쯤 그때라 당증이 이제 당증 저쯤 그점나 대 파쇼지가 전다션다 와도 차나 람성 셈노아 차도기용나 능력자용 걸 된자 때랑진간 때 맞지 오코 디당나마 디치당다 바스용나 섬리 섬노 때키오나 대좀 nga 쓰는 안진 요 말을 좀 받지나 차도르도 기오면 디가 치치라 이치단 보이나 때 남양때 차도 제당 치치라 독파사트 용고 말 차도 제당 독파사트 멍치와 노적식 송나 때 용고 어때 니때나 된지 이제 야번 때 한진이 당아 다 시시면 되자 고소. Maybe lost. Hello?
It looks like he's coming back now. You lost him.
Oh,
The audio is coming right back.
그런가?
고소.
야.
응.
형님. 타박 주고 봐.
나.
여기 자자 네 최소.
로스电池랑. 로스.
지금은 이제 타박을 그려 주세요.
담배가 로사서. 뭔도. 딱히 결정.
되는 야. 저 좋았고 고소하다.
고소. 당에 때.
지금은 가르쳐.
언니한테
렌 가르쳐 와인 같이 쏜다.
렌드즈네. 집당 가도 노착당 세와가 캬버든 남징이 시작이요라. There's 그런 시질등 아주 직든 디가나 내용으로서 포목은 되와 제동은 되와 때 말하고 직등 직든 디가나 내는 로아 미세든 미 표시 받은 kim청 냠때 네워십이 저쪽에 등 랑징 그 텐중 그 랑징 기트바 치레스 포모 제동도 고아지레 티치라 내가 마테 고요레 이나 제동도 냠때 존에 디킬 롱쇼트 거나 캬프로 요레스 아니 세와탕 지위 고니체나 소소랑닐라 데킨도 바노 잔라 데킬 기십탕 지와 지치라 이치탕 지위 고니 아니 뭐지잖아 배 데키탕 다비고 뭐지자 듣고 요레스 또마 노적 코니 본데 삼탕나 나치고 데키 종나다 코카르 종나 종세 딘 삼탕이나 다티 요다 요르테나 딘 하버다 나세 식심보나 파쇼텔 간진 요나 파쇼텔 니즈니 도트즈마 요로 파쇼텔 미치 라바찬도 그세센도이나 남성 주셈나 타도키니 마켈레 용거리스 때든 노적 등을 망부터기 요르스 단지 지점 그 쳤음 침나 대점 그때를 등을 망부 용거 어떻지나 마세텔라 시다 용거 요말 어때 매와지니 세와 같이니 종화에나 앙이월도 식실라 고아지레스 용 등이 랜도 때지마도 시탐바다.
Okay. I beg your pardon because of the internet, so we get disconnected for a moment. Anyway, here is my checking how I see, and basically I must tell you that this answer, your question is not a kind of absolutely suitable and for me as Odin a monk to address explicitly or with a great detail. But what I can provide or offer you is something in general, as general guidance. So from basic principle and from Buddhist point of view, so like I repeatedly mentioned in previous occasions, that we as a normal human being, we must always try to differentiate or see the distinctions between the desire and the compassion, right? Or the true love, or selfless love. So attachment, desire, including sexual desire, and which is something in the generally speaking, and so it's kind of normal, natural, and from a basic humanity, a human sort of reality point of view. Indeed, we're here and we're seeking for happiness. We appreciate and we're always looking for, right? And I appreciate the pleasure and joy, something joyful and something that is really makes us feel nice and good. And there's nothing really essentially wrong about it, right? That's including sexual activity. So sexual activity by its very own nature is the human, in order to maintain the human race, right, and the continuity of the human the race and our human society, and the prosperities of communities, societies, and the human being in general, right, and it's depend upon and this very normal and naturally sort of being a natural the activity that is the sexual activity. So that's connected to the general human reality. Again, so from a general point of view, it's nothing wrong about it. What it can be messed up, so wrong is the way how you use it, how you approach it, and so how you think of it, and then practice it, right? If you use or approach the sexual activity and with respect, right, and with a mature understanding, and even attempt to think that that is for the not for the feed up your the hunger of your ego and your selfish desire, your individual's hunger for the sexual pleasure. If it's not there for that, right? But it is kind of based on the mature understanding and respect for others' desire or needs, and then I would say that practice is acceptable, and you cannot really against that, and generally speaking. But if you use this very natural human activity, human and race is as a part of the human race, is the life, and so always take it as the sexual activity as something that to make yourself feel good and fulfilled and sort of content, right? And just constantly and to feed your own hunger and for the something's pleasurable, and in this context, of course, is through the sexual activity. Then I would say that is wrong. Why? Because since you're acting, you're thinking of, and the approach of, or you engaging in the sexual activity is merely for your own sake of pleasure, your own enjoyment. You disregard others' feelings, others' senses, and their sense of what they want. Then that you could get it's very wrong. Why? Because since you have this strong desire for self, right, and super sort of self-centered, being a super self-centered, right, and you have this great strong attachment to your own needs, yourself, equally. Others, right, and they also have this self-pride, sense of self-dignity, and self-respect, and even self-centeredness, right? So here, you start with this activity or action of sexual activity with the strong self-centeredness and attachment to your own individual's desire. And then others would do the same. So then that way, you two would, you actually will lead to a great disaster or turn something is definitely will be very negative. For instance, that like the partnership, and if you merely think about yourself, everything has to be and according to your desire and your preference. And others, another makes them feel as being overly controlled. But at the same time, if that person is kind of say something very nice to others, or show something that's kind of very close and being very happy to be with someone and in the conversation, or be doing something together, you could experience a greater sense of jealousy and the art of jealous, and then plus your strong attachment of self and the ego, the centric, and then that again will lead to a great disaster. So therefore, and as I said again, in general, so if you do the things right and always consider about the others' benefits, not merely and focus on your individual desire, and or not let your actions, your thoughts, be driven and controlled by the strong self-attachment, and then it's so whatever is a kind of a social, make it a socially acceptable, and I would say it's fine. However, and again, if you practice this and carried out in a very excessively and driven by the self-centeredness, then that is not acceptable. And both socially, of course, here spiritually, this is totally is rejectable.
因为笼统东西过去，那这当 미 알랑 오시 텐데 자상이 요래 그냥 개똥 직질라베 저 침볼 때 있는 냠테 데트고 말 등이 가르치는 균이 냠테 데트고 말 타랑 보지 돼요 참참한테고 가르치나 때 김이때베 조카들 시라 가오 요왔지 띠강라 미 점반님때 조카 대화 미 가자가라 시까지 시주가 올 텐데 봉고를 텐데 것이나 또뭐 주니 기부 온 거만 오늘 같이는 나온 특파자 특파자나 권위가 기부 온 거말 대사 딱 권위가 지지게 동사 이런 모든 아니 참참 냠때 되게 들이대 버지 어떤 로통으로 되는데 저땅 때 시기라 샘통의 이치 랩 같이 뭐 이치 랩나 같이 좀 놓고 샘농아 가요 아니 이치 원래 소소랑 일당고 장무지고 그러지 정모 스스는 쓰지고 맞도 고고 타마직 당소나 타만이와도 결 정모셨나 미 지금 말이지 대차때 당 소소 디당나 바탐지 정모지게 같이 모르지 때땅 논로디나 들으시지
Mhm. So in conclusion, I would say again, this is a very general guideline from basic Buddhist teaching. And but I'll let me share you a story, and you know what I'm trying to say. So the story is actually I know someone, and they are a married couple, and so I know both of them, and what I observed and from this married young couple is that they somehow and they is try to avoid each other. Their relationship is not that they're not that close to each other. Their relationship is kind of in trouble, and so I also noticed that they try to lower the volume of frequency of see each other or engaging in doing something engaging each other, and they try to reduce that frequency, try to make it less see each other, less engaging, do something together as possible. So I kind of, out of curiosity, since I know both of them well, I said, why you guys are acting like that? And you are married couple. And then what I heard in response is that they say, the man who they both are, and actually, and it says that to accuse each other. Say the man says she is out whenever she's outside, and she's much nicer to other men, and seems that there's more have more here than we're talking to different men, and nice to other men than the way that she treats me. And the interestingly, woman also and says that this man, seems to have no interest in me and doesn't care about my feelings, and not to have affections for me, but he seems that more interested and have more affection for other women, and and therefore we often the fight and over this kind of things and in many all the occasions. So therefore we both think it's a good idea that each other much less, try to see as much as possible. That way we don't need it to be very angry or very unhappy all the time. So they are in the midst of such trouble, and then their solution disconnect or cut off from the relations and or reduce this engagement. So we the relation between the woman and the man is affection is both, right? So therefore, I guess from the very beginning, to overcome this kind of trouble is to develop the trust, the genuine trust. To develop the trust and mature the respect is you have to be honest. I think the honest is the key. So you have to be honest to each other and try to make it as transparent. Okay, transparency is the key. Honest transparency. So and not try to hiding and from each other. But once you develop the trust and through the being honest, then I think you will easily to overcome the troubles which the people, the married couple I know, that kind of trouble I think can be easily overcome. So again, this is general guidance.
Oh yeah. 당가 칸톡사 많이 오는 그 칸톡을 좋아하실 건데 그래서네. 이제 어떤 게 쓰기 양선용 좀 봐. 뭐요 진짜 감으셔고 있다이나 따공다시.
So what I heard from my own comments, it made me feel have this idea that I'm here. What I have said here is like something like I never tried a particular fruit, but now I'm explaining and what's the test and the colors or the qualities of the fruits. It's kind of funny but the good thing is that I'm not touch upon something very specific, but rather it's general. So I apologize if my answer is too broad and too in general.
Oh yeah, that's my to jamba shi me ja pen tong ro yo na so so la len dab si ta ma tong na gong ta cha.
Yeah, so regards your very specific questions about this sexual activity, this is my general answer. And again, if you find from the general Buddhist understanding, and there are something, and you can use as good reference and try it out and give it a try. If you find that's not helpful, then just leave it alone. So.
Thank you, Geshe Kunga, Tempa, and Tenzin. If you would like to make a donation for this teaching, it would be greatly appreciated by the monastery and the monks. And you can do this by calling 812-336-6807 or by emailing the center at tmbcc.kcl@gmail.com. For those of you here in the temple, I will pass around the begging bowl. And if you would like to make a donation, it would be very appreciated. If you cannot do that, you can just say a prayer or a mantra into the bowl. It's perfectly okay. Please join us here at noon today in the temple where Geshe Gyatso will be teaching Shantideva's Guide to the Bodhisattva Way of Life. All right, thank you.
되셨습니다. We'll say the closing prayer on page number 80. Nande Yahweh Wang Jer De Mazon Betera Gondoi Jambe Yanje Tebe Jeson Daberen bakon zanan jejo Yene rube yano yechejo Ra ye jejen tobe lam jejo Shoda zeve tanwe tangye Dove ye je mo saje Yahweh demba yon zenjur jen cho ge ma cha cha jan nyam be jur cho de nyang je jen bo ye ra jo ba Tar de sour chever se je yave me jon ten la do lan jo lan je be chang ta do nan je ye la ba de ya le do ba yon la jong je lam zan de be tun jen do che ga je ze je me na me te ra gon do ya ma ba nan da war ma je kan zi ba che la zhi zhi zu zhen du la zong ba di yi tu den nam jie da du zhou zha xi yang zong qiu gong qiao zhu ru xi ba den za wei la ma ren bo xi da zu nian ge pa me den zhou la ka den zhen bo gu ne jie zong gu song du jie mu zhu za du zo chang zhu zhen zhu ren bo jie ma jie ba na jie 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 wa nian ba gong ne gong du pe war shuo kan re ra wei gu wei xian gan de pen dang de wa ma le zhong wei ne jian re zhen wang den zhen ya zu yi xia bei sen de bar du den zhi re ji jiang ba ba wo ji dang gun du zang bo de yang de zhen de de da gun jie jie zuo da lu jiang ye wan de da tang jie ra du mo de zang ya wa tang jie jian mo wa gang la qiu du ma ba de da xin ji wei za wa de gong zhi jie ra du mo war jie pen de zhong ne da xiang ji den zhen ji wo tang ji gu gang zang lu jian gong la de jie zhong wei sang ye den ba da du ji zhu ru ji ce ra gong du ya wa zong ga de zhu xin nian wo zo ya wei ma bei lam zang de nian le zang yang du bar ma zhi ji